G'day, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at what's inside this VHS tape. Or actually what's inside of this tape. So this is just a plastic case, basically just to protect these cassettes. Just a case, put that there, don't really need that. And then we've got the actual cassette, the VHS tape. This one's still sealed, brand new, so I'll open that up. And there you go, there's a car advertisement. Wonder if it comes with extended warranty. Awesome, so we've got the actual tape, plastic case, a couple of see-through windows, and we can see the actual tape wound up on two different spools underneath there. So this is brand new, so all of it's going to be reset right to the beginning. So this will be the main spool, having everything wound. As this sort of gate opens and the tapes get wound, I think they've actually got little locks inside them because you can't just turn it like this. But when this gets put into a VCR machine, there's a couple of slots that push on the side here, this little tab, just to allow this gate to actually open. That opens, and then I think there's also another tab that pushes down onto this. Yeah, there we go. And this button here will just unlock the two spools, so it'll allow them to turn. So if I can do that again, just push that one down. Keep this sort of gate open, but now I can't actually turn anything unless there's a pressure applied to this. And if there's pressure there, then we can actually turn it. So inside the machine, that's, okay, it's hard to show, but you can look inside. I need more hands, I guess, to show this. I can hold this inside and sort of turn that, and you can see both spools are turning as the tape is being transferred from this one to this one here. So all that'll happen inside the actual VCR automatically, and obviously a hell of a lot better than what I just showed there. And then you've just got a sticker on the front saying sort of what the movie is or what's recorded on there. Runtime 128 minutes, approximately. Trademark 2003, so this is quite old. On the back side here, it's just got a few Phillips head screws, so I'll undo them so we can see inside. What I'll actually do, this sticker here just holds the two clamshells together, so it's got two parts to it, and the sticker in the middle just holds that together, so I'll just cut it through the center just to get the pieces apart a lot easier. There we go, that's come out really nice. So this is the little flap I was talking about here. I'm not sure how best to show this, but on this side, it's just got this, I don't know, just an open exposed hole that gets pushed in. And as that happens, on this side here, these two things retract. So I'll push it from the other side, and you can see that actuating really nicely. So that's just there, so when the cassette isn't in the player, it's nice and sturdy, and the wheels don't actually move out of water, so that tension, I assume, would be maintained. And again, you can sort of see these teeth on the side of these two spools, and that would lock in directly with each side of that. So just a piece of plastic. There's a nice little roller there. I assume that's probably where the tape's going to go on one side. Actually, let's just keep having a look at that. So I can open this up. That just comes off this little, I guess, gate on the front. A tiny little spring on the left. Actually, it's got quite a bit of tension on it. So that'll just be there, so it automatically closes. So you hold it open and then just automatically closes up. But these little things is what I was talking about. Okay, so it's actually a really nice metal sort of spacer, and I think that's just there, and it's really nice and smooth for the tape to run past. I think this is stainless steel. It looks really nice and shiny and stainless, and it does have a little split in the middle there where that sort of V notch is cut in, So most likely this would have just been stamped out of some sheet metal and then rolled around something and pressed to get this really nice shape to it. So that sits on this side, and this side there's I think that's probably going to be nylon or some sort of plastic. Again, just a little spacer that just allows for rotation. So that just sits, oh no, okay, I was wrong, it doesn't actually sit inside that metal bit, so maybe, where was it, here? Okay, so that'll actually sit on this side. Oh no, that's actually a secondary roller, so that's a roller there, and also these bits here. Well, have a look at this, the two actual spools. So nice and clear on one side. I guess that's the side that's got these windows in it, so the user can actually see how it's wound and what the status of the movie actually is, if it's reset back to 0 and back to the beginning, as it would be about here, and then spool out. And then the other side, again, it's just a bit of plastic, cheap plastic. These would have been injection molded, and then the two windows, so clear plastic, just added in after, and it just looks to have some sort of glue. Most likely that's glue. Could also be acoustically welded on there, so that's just a little tool that comes on, apply some pressure, and I think it's ultrasound or some sort of strong acoustic sound, and it just sort of welds that plastic together. So it's either that or just some glue, I don't know. And then in the middle, not exactly sure why we've got these two, or this sort of piece of just some metal that's placed on there, and there would have been, as this was injection molded, there would have been two little tabs sticking up here, and this piece of metal would have just had two holes that would align perfectly and sit within that, and then probably just a stamp tool pushed down against that was hot and just melted these two tabs in place, and that's what's holding this in place now. But what these do on this side is just apply that pressure to these rollers. I'm not sure exactly why that happens, because there's that, oh maybe, okay, that's probably good. So maybe as this sits on top, this has quite a bit of wiggle room. So maybe that's a really neat way to just not worry about tolerances. So the tolerance can actually be quite big, and this can just sort of wobble around and move. And then as this goes inside the machine, the teeth or the gear that comes in can just lock in, and it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. They can be a little bit misaligned, and those sort of, this extra room that it's got inside can just move in there and sit in nicely. That's actually a really smart design feature, because tolerances with machining and manufacturings, the tighter that tolerance or the more precise that the component has to be, the more expensive it gets, and it increases dramatically as you get into really small bits. So that was a really neat, I assume, cost-saving method to just allow it. It's really got probably, I'm going to say, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters of room on the side. So to have maybe a millimeter all the way around, to wiggle around, you don't have to worry about your tolerances, and that's a really good way to deal with that. But actually, that's pretty much it, really. There's just, actually I'll lay this out slightly nicer, I can move that aside. Got 2 spools, this here. So yeah, this sort of metal thing that I was talking about before, I think it came from this side. So that's just a guide for the tape. So these tapes would have sit on like this, gets pulled on top, and then I think around like that. And this nylon one would have just been there on this side to just as an extra guide. I'm not sure why only one side had it. I assume one side had it, but I don't think I lost it. Yeah, I think that's it. Must be a reason, don't know. If you know why there's an extra spool there, or why there's 2 sort of guides on there, do leave a comment. It'd be really interesting to know. And the other interesting thing is this little tooth here is out of a different color, so it's out of white, whereas this one's out of black. I don't know if there's any actual practical purpose for that. Maybe in the manufacturing, there's a left and a right, so maybe they used, black for left and white for right. Maybe it's just simply something like that, like a little distinguisher during the manufacturing process. I'm not sure if these were put together by automation or if someone sat there and actually put these in place, because if someone was sitting there, it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to know which color goes where, because they are definitely different. Although I also don't see it that terribly hard to just make these symmetrical. Obviously you have to change a few things of the design, but to make these 2 symmetrical, so then it wouldn't actually matter which one goes on which side, because you could put this one on here, or you could just flip it the other way and put it on here. But again, I'm sure they knew what they were doing. So that sits on, did I do that right? Yeah, that sits on, and then this little spring just sits on like that, just providing that tension to this little wheel. Yeah, and then just plastic spools, and this tape is actually quite heavy. So it's just a tape that has magnetic tracks on it, and those magnetic tracks would have just been encoded with an analog signal for the video, whatever format this actually is and what it uses. I don't know exactly, but the whole movie would have been spun. This would have been spun around and the movie recorded onto this. Awesome, there we go. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and if you want to see more of taking random stuff apart, then do consider subscribing. Awesome, thanks very much. Have a good one.